Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dear all. Good day ahead. Welcome back to English session. This is part 3 of the poem The Farmer's Wife. In part first, we have discussed about the framework through which we are gonna study about this poem, the feminism, our feminist point of view. And in second session, we were talking about the stigmas attached to the men and women, which lead us to the biases are the prejudice and the discrimination finally. And in this session, we are gonna discuss the poem directly. So in our previous session, we have already talked about the author's introduction as well, the poet introduction, so poetess introduction, and we will be directly moving to the poem. So let's get started. So we were discussing about farmer's pain as well in today's session, isn't it? So we will be discussing, I hope you will be writing it down and making a list of the farmer, what problems they do have. Okay, now let's get started. Pre-reading activity. Lakhs of farmers have committed suicide in our country. What could be the reasons for this devastating, which means highly destructive or damaging? Highly destructive or damaging. So, damaging trend. What could be the reason for this destructive or devastating trend? There are many reasons. Poor soil or less fertile soil, heavy rainfall or drought or flood, isn't it? Or highly chemicated pesticides which will kill all the crops, or the worms, isn't it? Or heavy loans, or lack of rainfall. There are many. Or lack of money to use pesticides or to have good crops. There are many problems, isn't it? And because of all these problems, the only solution what farmer finds is to commit suicide. It is not that he is coward, but it is that it is inevitable. And we people have to understand this one, and we all need to work for them, for the upliftment of farmers' life. Isn't it? Farmer. And especially the government should help them, should reduce their loans, and should help them in having good production, and should purchase their food grains for high cost as we get in market price, isn't it? And there should be no mediator. First of all, there should be no mediator. What if I am usually what happens? Mediators purchase their products like 5 rupees or 10 rupees kilo, and what we get in market is something like 50 or 60 rupees kilo. The huge difference. And if directly the farmer get 50 to 60 rupees per kilo, then definitely no sooner he will become rich, and there will be no problems at all. He need not to seek loan in banks, isn't it? So that's what we need to remove these mediators, and government should think all of this, and government should purchase all their products at good prices so that they can also lead a good and healthy life as we do. So there are many problems which can be again discussed a lot. If I just start talking about, I may discuss it for the entire session. So let's just drop it. How do you think this would affect their family? Definitely. Their mental status, their unhealthy being will also affect their families. If farmer is poor, his entire family will be poor. They have to deny themselves from getting good food themselves. They may deny themselves from being good, getting good education, or getting good infrastructure for their farm. This would lead to a big problematic for farmer and his family. Now let's get started with the reading of a poem. Make sure I will be reading till about, but our family twice. We'll be reading it once slowly, and we'll be reading it once fastly, and then we'll be discussing it thoroughly. You are virtuous, and you are gone. Poor sinner that I remain before your creditors, unable to bend your head, or stretch out your hand, or sell your crops. You crossed over, but I was born with head bent and hand outstretched. Not unused to being sold, knowing all this, did you leave me? Knowing all this, did you leave me? You found released, with poison, set free, poisoning my bitter existence. The cotton crops is but yesterday's. But our family? But how about my family? How often have I drowned in it? How many times have I escaped death? Whether you abused or reviled me, kicked me when you were drunk. I thought he is but a man. I thought he is but a man. Little did I dream you would deal. Very little did I dream that you would deal me at death below like this. Me at death below like this. Let's read it a little slow. You are virtuous. Here the term virtuous means righteous or moral, or something who is good, who is virtuous people, who is not that sinner. You are virtuous and you are gone. So you was moralful person. You were virtuous but you are gone. Poor sinner that I remain, but I was sinner. Papi, but I remain. Before your creditors, ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರ ಮುಂದೆ I am here. I have to answer. Your creditors. It's not my creditors, but yours. Unable to bend your head, but I cannot defame them, isn't it? I cannot give them counter argument because I cannot bend your head, even you are gone, isn't it? You have status in society. You have certain name that you are man. That's why I cannot defend you, because I cannot bend your head even though you are dead. Or stretch out your hand. I cannot stretch your hand now, you are dead. Or sell your crops. Unfortunately, I can't even sell your crops, isn't it? You crossed over, you brought them up, you did all what you can do. You did struggle, you struggled a lot to bring them. You crossed over it, but I cannot sell them. But I was born with a headband. Look at the contradictory part here, the what do you call it? The comparison, the contrast, isn't it? You cannot bend your head because you're man, isn't it? You're strong. You should be always like this. You cannot bend your head because you're man. But when it comes to me, I here refers to farmer's wife. When it comes to when it comes to farmer's wife, I am born with headband, isn't it? So ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು, but you cannot do that. ನೀನು ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಗಿಸಬಾರ್ದು because you're man. You're man indeed, isn't it? So she says, but I was born with headband and hand outstretched. ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ ಕೈ ಚಾಚಿಕೊಂಡು because I am woman. But when it comes to you, you are a man. You are strong. You are supposed to be strong. You cannot bend your head, or you cannot stretch out your hands because you are a man. But when it comes to me, when it comes to women, I am born with headband and I am born with hand outstretched. There will be so-called protector from me, isn't it? So I am under somebody's protection. So I am always used to bend my head before my father, before marriage. And after marriage, I have to bend my head towards my husband. And probably when I grow old, I have to bend my head to my son. This is what the stigmas which has been attached to women. You cannot bend your head because you're man. But I was born with headband and I was born with hand outstretched to ask somebody, to ask help, to seek help from someone. But you cannot ask. You are men. You are so-called men, right? This is what the author wanted to talk about. Not unused to being sold. I'm not unused to being sold, isn't it? I'm sold. I have a market. isn't it? Here there are two terms to rectify. One is that she cannot sell the crops which has been brought up, and another thing denoting is that she has been sold from one person to another person in the form of marriage, isn't it? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸೋಲ್ಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪಾಪ ಅವರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಾರಲ್ಲ, ಇವರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮಾರಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ, isn't it? In form of dowry, isn't it? So it is ironically correct in our society. It's a bitter truth rather that women has to purchase so-called husband by giving dowry. Okay. Knowing all this, did you leave me? You know everything, that I cannot bend your head, that I cannot bend myself, that I cannot sell your crops. I don't know anything about farming. I don't know anything about society because you didn't give any access to me to have a look at society. And knowing all this, did you leave me? You know everything. You know my situation, but still you leave me. Then bithode. How can you do this to me? Isn't it? Questioning, direct question to farmer as well as to society. Knowing all this, did you leave me? You found released, isn't it? With poison. You found release with poison. You were set free by taking poison, isn't it? You set free yourself by drinking poison, poisoning my bitter existence. You already know, being women, I have a bitter experience of my life. I have been living a bitter life, a bitter existence, and again you are poisoning it by leaving me alone in this cruel world. This is what a farmer's wife is questioning to farmer as well as to society, that you don't give access to women to have a look at society, to have a prestigious status in society, and suddenly if you leave me, how can you imagine that I can survive, isn't it? And you found release by poisoning my bitter existence. I'm already bitter. I'm facing bitter society, bitter life, but still you are poisoning my life by leaving me alone. These are beautiful lines indeed, isn't it? Very well articulation, which is representing women as well as men. And in every inch of this poetry, Volga is trying to deframe patriarchal thoughts, isn't it? She is trying to break out the patriarchal thoughts which has been inculcated in society from years long, isn't it? From years ago, probably from eras, centuries together. So Volga tries to break patriarchal thought in every inch of this poetry. And she says, you know, knowing all this, did you leave me? You're so cool, man. You cannot face defeat. You always have to win because you're strong. I hope you remember I have written something here. Stigmas. Man is always strong, isn't it? But women is weak. But look at you. You committed suicide like a coward. But I'm still here. Being weak, I'm still here. Facing society, facing your predators. Then who is strong? It's you and me. This is a question. Poisoning my bitter existence. The cotton crops is but yesterday's. Cotton crops ide, but it is of yesterday. Adu nennedu koltu hogittantadu. I cannot sell it. But our family, how about my family? It is not about yesterday's. It is living family. It will live worth. So your cotton crops were there. Yendukoskara neenu satt hode. You had poison and died because of the cotton crops, right? But how about my family? How about my kids? This is an utter question to farmer as well as to society, especially the patriarchal society. Make sure there are two very much confusing terms, patriarchal and patriotism. Make it sure patriarchal means male dominated society or Pitru Pradhana Samaja. And when it comes to patriotism, it is love for our nation, Desha Bhakti or Desha Prema, isn't it? So don't get confused with these two similar sounding words, patriarchal and patriotism. Patriarchal is male dominated society or Pitru Pradhana Samaja. Patriotism means love for our nation, our Desha Bhakti, Desha Prema. So don't get confused. So here Volga is tackling patriarchal society, our patriarchal thoughts. So she wanted to break this, deframe this, or decolonize our mind from patriarchal society, our patriarchal thoughts. We all inculcate patriarchal thoughts, irrespective of sex here, isn't it? Irrespective of male or female, isn't it? Gender. We all inculcate patriarchal thoughts, but here Volga wanted to break that. That so-called man is called as strong, but how strong he is. She is reframing that you are not strong, rather I am strong than you, stronger than you. So let's see how she is trying to tell that you are weak instead I am strong. How often have I drowned in it? I mean, how many times haven't I drowned in the same sorrow, the same pain which you have gone through? The same circumstances you have gone through. But look at me, I'm still surviving. I'm still living. That too in the most in the most optimistic way. But how about you? You are a so-called man. You should be strong, but you're not. How often have I drowned in it? How many times have I escaped death? You faced one problem and you surrendered. You committed suicide like a coward. But look at me. I have been sold from my father to you. I have left my home, my comfort zone for you. I have bared 4 children for you. I have sacrificed my entire youth. I have sacrificed everything for you. But I am still existing, isn't it? That too, look at your atrocity towards me, isn't it? Whether you abused or reviled me, whether you abused or reviled me, revile here means criticizing somebody or insulting someone. So it is a common behavior that men usually criticize or insult women in front of others to show superiority, to show the manhood, isn't it? But which is wrong in me, isn't it? But I have survived all those things. I have survived all those things. I didn't choose death like you. But ironically, people call you as strong, not me. This is irony, utter irony. He says, how many times have I escaped death? Whether you abused or reviled me. You abused me like anything, isn't it? And you reviled me, you criticized me, you insulted me, you condemned me, you attacked me. But I'm still existing. Kicked me when you were drunk. You also abused me physically. You also abused me, you have kicked me, you have tortured me, isn't it? When you were drunk, you have kicked me, isn't it? So the torment, the torture men does to women. I thought he is but a man. This is the most ironical line I have ever read in this form. You underline it. I thought he is but a man, isn't it? But what I thought is, whatever he does with me, he is a man. I thought he is a man. He would deal it. He will deal it. Little did I dream you would deal. ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪುಟ್ಟದಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕನಸು that you would deal, you will do, you will overcome, you will try to sort out things which has been messed by fate. Fate ಏನಿದೆ ಮೆಸ್ಸಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ನ. But I thought you are man, isn't it? You are man and you can deal it. You can overcome all the problems. But I was wrong, isn't it? But I was wrong. You committed suicide like a coward, isn't it? Usually committing suicide is obviously a cowardized job. Little did I dream you would deal me at death below like this. But unfortunately, you let me see your death by committing suicide like a coward. People call you strong. But look at me. I am more stronger than you. Because I have many a times I have escaped death. Even you abused me, you revealed me, you kicked me. I have been sold. But still, I am surviving. I born with head bent. I was born with hand outstretched. But I am still surviving. Who is stronger in that case? In every inch of this poem, Volga is trying to bring the contrary part of both the people, isn't it? So women used to struggle a lot, isn't it, for the survival. But every time she comes up, isn't it? Every time she survives it, every time she overcomes things. But how about men? But unfortunately, society labels women as weak. But whereas women know how to deal with situation, how to deal with the things which is not okay with her, isn't it? So in every point or in every inch of this poetry, Volga is trying to tackle patriarchal thoughts. That being a man, you have been called as strong. You shouldn't taste a failure because you're a man. You cannot cry because you're a man, isn't it? You cannot do things which cannot suit your personality, which cannot suit your status rather. And this is all what men does, isn't it? So let's recap the entire poem which we have studied and make sure we'll be stopping here. The session, not session, but the discussion, we'll be revising it again because this poem is little contrary or this is little difficult to digest. Just read it thoroughly and understand it. Okay, last 6 minutes we'll be discussing it again. You are virtuous and you are gone. Neenu tumba punyatma, but you are gone. You are dead. Poor sinner that I remain. You have been considered as poor, pure, strong, virtuous. But women is considered to be weak, impure, or a sinner. But I still remain. ನೀನು ತುಂಬ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಬಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗಾಡ್. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಪೂರ್ ಸಿನ್ನರ್, ಐ ರಿಮೇನ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟರ್ಸ್. ನಿನಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರ ಮುಂದೆ ನಾನಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಟು ಫೇಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟರ್ಸ್. ಅನೇಬಲ್ ಟು ಬೆಂಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹೆಡ್. ನಿನ್ನ ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಗ ಥರ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಡಿನೇ ಟು ಪೇ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ಸ್. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಬೆಂಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹೆಡ್. ನಿನ್ನ ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಗ ಥರ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬೇರ್ ದಿ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ನೌ. I have to pay all the debts, all the credits which you have taken, because I cannot bend your head. You are dead already, but still I cannot bend your head. Our hand, stretch out your hand. ನಿನ್ನ ಕೈ ಮತ್ತೆ ಚಾಚೋ ಥರ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. Now my hand is your hand, so I cannot stretch my hand to somebody else now, because it hit your dignity. Now I have to work accordingly to your dignity. You cannot bend your head, you cannot stretch your hand before somebody, so I have to pay all of the things what you have made. I sell your crops. Ninna crops kuda nan sell mado hagilla, because they are already gone. They are worm eaten crops. You crossed over, so ninna crops kuda sell madakke kashta. But I was born with a headband. But when it comes to me being women, I was born with headband. Nanu huttidde tale taggiskondu and hand outstretched, and my hands are always stretching towards other, especially towards men, because I need protection, I need somebody's guidance, I need somebody's help, isn't it? So I was born with headband and hand outstretched. How ironical things are that. Not unused to being sold. I'm not unused to being sold. I've been sold from my father to you, isn't it? But still I cannot sell your products or your crops or your goods, because I'm unable to eat, isn't it? I'm unable. I cannot do. I shouldn't do. And I have no idea to do this, because you didn't let me know. Okay, knowing all this, did you leave me? You know all this. You know all my circumstances. You know all my flaws. You know all my phobias. You know all my access. You know all my things. And still you left me. Did you leave me? Questioning to her dead husband. This is out of utter pain or agony, isn't it? You know everything, but still you left me. You found release with poison. ಜನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ತಲೆ ಇರೋವರೆಗೂ ತಲೆನೋವು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ತಲೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ತಲೆನೋವು ಇರಲ್ಲ, isn't it? So until and unless we have our last breath, there will be problems in our life. So if I lose my life, if I die, problems will be solved to me. Nobody is gonna ask a corpse to pay the debt, isn't it? To pay the credit debt, isn't it? But people will ask the relatives, especially the wife. So I'm unable to bend your head. I have to pay it. And probably ಯು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಕಷ್ಟ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಸಾಲ್ವೇಷನ್ ಹೇಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡೆ ನೀನು? ಬೈ ಡ್ರಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನ್, ಬೈ ಇನ್ಹೇಲಿಂಗ್, ಬೈ ಇನ್ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯ್ಸನ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್ ಯು ಪಾಯ್ಸನ್ ಮೈ ಬೆಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ದಿ ಕಾಟನ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಟ್ ಎಸ್ಟರ್ಡೇಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಕಾಟನ್ ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಏನೋ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಸ್ಟರ್ಡೇಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎಸ್ಟರ್ಡೇಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟುಡೇಸ್. It is continuous till all of we died, isn't it? So how can I imagine that I can deal this? You left me knowing all my flaws, knowing all my things which I can't do, questioning. And here Volga is trying to tell that man has been considered to be strong, whereas women is weak. But unfortunately, women always prove that she is stronger than man by handling each and everything which has been attired to her, isn't it? By handling each and everything which has been attired to her. And she does all the things. She know how to earn, she know how to maintain family, she know how to cook, she know how to clean, she knows everything. She's all-rounder. But still people consider women as weak, as emotional, as unstable, as silly, as fickle-minded. How true it is, we have to rectify it. And by telling this, I would like to conclude today's session. We'll be discussing the same poem by next session as well. Till that, take care. Read this poem entirely, thoroughly, twice or thrice. And if you're having any doubts regarding this poem, you can feel free to talk about. May Allah make our learning easy. Make sure this poem is trying to tackle patriarchal thoughts, is trying to break the patriarchal thoughts rather, by giving ironical or metaphorical ways of dealing it. May Allah make our learning easy. Thank you so much.